Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's been a few days since the last upload, but as we all know here in the Call of Duty community, when it rains, it pours, and it's been pouring on Call of Duty fans recently, and it's also been pouring on me personally as well for the past week. What started off as a simple earache turned into a pretty wicked ear infection, which then somehow was followed up by my first ever case of strep throat, and let me tell you guys how not fun strep throat is, but I'm finally on the mends, and it's time to get back on the wagon with YouTube videos and live streams, and we're going to kick things off here today by talking about probably the worst news that we've had in a while. A lot of you probably already heard about this, but Activision has essentially put the last nail in the coffin of classic old school Call of Duty matchmaking recently, and we're going to be discussing just that. We're going to be discussing everyone's favorite topic, which of course is skill-based matchmaking, as well as a number of other topics here in this video. It's going to be quite the ride, but before we get started, I am very excited to announce a new sponsorship here on the channel. NordVPN was kind enough to support me and my channel here today, so let's take a quick break to hear from them before we get started. This video is being brought to you by NordVPN. NordVPN is the leading virtual network provider, offering over 5,500 servers in 59 countries that you can connect to with the click of a button. You've no doubt heard about VPNs, especially in recent weeks here in the Call of Duty community, so you may be thinking, well, why do you need one? Well, outside of encrypting and anonymizing your internet activity and data and protecting yourself online, NordVPN allows you to connect to thousands of servers across the world. Certain services, as you guys may know, may release a new TV show in other countries before it does in your country, for example, and NordVPN can connect you to any country you want that isn't blocking the content that you wish to see, which will let you instantly watch that content on your phone, your PC, or your tablet. NordVPN also provides top-rate protection while surfing on public Wi-Fi, which is one of the most dangerous places to be using your information and credit card details. If you've ever had your debit card randomly hacked and used by somebody at a gas station in Michigan, it's likely because they got your information while you were surfing the internet and using your credit card details on public Wi-Fi. It's very easy to steal. That's how they do it most of the time. So protect yourself, protect your family, and download NordVPN to browse the internet safely and securely anywhere, anytime, from any device. Visit nordvpn.com/NeroCinema today to try NordVPN risk-free for 30 days and save up to 70% on your first purchase with an additional 1 month free just for using promo code NeroCinema at checkout. Say goodbye to your internet service provider throttling your internet speeds. Enjoy connecting up to 6 devices on your one NordVPN account, and say goodbye to malware and super obnoxious advertisements, all thanks to NordVPN, the fastest VPN service on the planet. I want to thank NordVPN for sponsoring me and my channel. Be sure to head over to nordvpn.com/NeroCinema and use promo code NeroCinema at checkout, as it heavily supports me, my channel, and everything that I'm trying to do here on NeroCinema. With that all being said, let's jump right back into the video. Alright, so skill-based matchmaking. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it at this point. Hardly a day goes by here in the Call of Duty community where this topic is not discussed, yet somehow the topic is always completely relevant at the same time. So a few days ago, Activision dropped a bombshell on us. You guys have probably heard about this by now, but what they did is they drastically changed their API on the back end so that stat tracking websites basically no longer work, and they also made it so by default on our Call of Duty accounts that we do not share our stats publicly. We now have to manually go in there and enable it so people can actually see our stats. The reason why this happened is mostly due to a website called Skill-Based Matchmaking Warzone.com. What this website, and honestly a number of other websites do, is they scan your lobbies and basically assign you a ranking symbol for your lobbies. It's quite similar to an actual ranked mode from virtually every other video game. We had everything from bronze lobbies to silver lobbies to gold lobbies all the way up to diamond, and each one of those different colors had a ranking of 1 through 5, right? So basically it was a ranked system based on the skill of the players in your lobby, and this website was very useful for people trying to host tournaments or for the people who want to check in on YouTubers, live streamers, pro players, and world record holders to make sure that everything is on the up and up. up. Basically, there's an entire industry built here on YouTube and Twitch of people who pretend to be the best Warzone players in the world, but in actuality, they are using a number of exploits to only play in bronze level lobbies, which are basically the worst of the worst lobbies that are filled with people who can barely mantle over a wall, let alone win a long-range gunfight. Right, these guys are out here touting themselves as the best Warzone players ever, consistently dropping 30, 40, 50 kill games, and once these websites actually became public, people were able to look at their lobbies and say, wait a minute, if you're so amazing, how come you're only facing people in bronze, or maybe low silver? Right, that doesn't add up whatsoever, and these people are basically being exposed, and honestly, that's pretty awesome, because, be honest, if you're going to be exploiting skill-based matchmaking, just be honest about it. People don't care. We're all tired of sweating as well, but if you're going to be putting up, like, 100-kill gameplays, or this or that, or whatever, be honest about it. Right? Just be honest if you're exploiting skill-based matchmaking. It is really that simple. What these websites did is they basically kept everybody honest. It essentially was a way for the community to know whether or not somebody was exploiting skill-based matchmaking and pretending that they weren't. And these websites were also great for tracking down people who are cheating, because that's always been a huge problem in Warzone, and it's starting to leak over into the Cold War multiplayer. Well, instead of addressing any of these issues and concerns, Activision has decided to quite literally just sweep everything under the rug and go on with business as usual. People were learning about these skill-based matchmaking systems in these games. People who tout themselves as world-class players were being exposed for cheesing the system to only play against Billy Goat 57, and hackers and cheaters were getting their accounts found out and hopefully their accounts banned, but then Activision just said no. Right? Basically, from how all this appears, is they don't like the fact that players were learning about their skill-based matchmaking systems, and they don't like all the discussion that's being had online about it. So they just want to sweep everything under the rug and pretend like it doesn't exist, because for some unknown reason, they appear to think that skill-based matchmaking is great for the franchise, and low-level new players must be protected at all costs, even at the cost of the experience of some of the most loyal and hardcore fans out there. There's been a pretty big to-do recently about all the different ways that people are exploiting skill-based matchmaking in both Warzone as well as the Cold War multiplayer, yet all of this seems to be one giant secret that people are too afraid to reveal to the world, because apparently some random Warzone tournaments are more important to these guys than the day-to-day experience of literally everybody who plays Warzone, Cold War, or Modern Warfare 2019. One thing that people do to get around skill-based matchmaking is they have a second account that has zero stats whatsoever. They search for a match with that account, join that account on their main account, and then have that zero stat account back out. So now basically they're in that lobby on their main account that has all their guns, all their stats, so on and so forth, but they're in a lobby of somebody who has zero stats where the players look like this. This is obviously a very old exclusive Ace clip when he was testing skill-based matchmaking, but yeah, these are the kind of lobbies that people try to get into, and that's one way of going about that. Now here's the thing though, apparently there are north of 10 different ways of getting around skill-based matchmaking, but they're being held secret in some almost cabal-like conspiracy, because the powers that be feel like if everybody knew how to game the system, that everybody would, and matchmaking as a result would suffer, I guess. It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. If skill-based matchmaking can be broken, then why not make it known how to break it? Right? Who cares about Warzone tournaments? Just have all the players that are in those tournaments opt into stat tracking, have it so their lobbies can be seen, and make it so people who are playing in silver or lower lobbies be disqualified. It's really that simple. If these are supposed to be the best players in the world, they shouldn't be playing in bronze and silver lobbies. It's really that simple. These random tournaments are not more important than the day-to-day experience of the entire community, and honestly, it's selfish as hell for the people who know how to get around the system to be protecting it, because they care about their tournaments as compared to the actual Call of Duty community. If these exploits get out, people will use them, and then suddenly, Activision's grand plan of protecting low-level new players will be foiled. Then bam, no more skill-based matchmaking. Right? It's really that simple. If enough people are exploiting the system, so much so that the system no longer works, then Activision's hand will be forced. They'll either be forced to fix the exploits in the first place, or remove skill-based matchmaking altogether. Either way, it sounds like a win-win to me, but these people who have this information are withholding it from the community, and it doesn't really make sense, except for the fact that these are the same people that also have creator codes, right? They also receive things like Christmas cards and care packages from Activision, Activision. So while I'm not saying this is confirmed whatsoever, I would not be surprised if they simply aren't allowed to reveal that information that they have, possibly due to an NDA. I don't know. It really doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. But either way, skill-based matchmaking, as we all know, is completely asinine, and it needs to go. If you need proof of it existing, just check out the gameplay that you've been watching here. My stats are tanking so badly because I'm basically only using launchers, the knife, and the thumper. And because of that, the lobbies I'm being put into have players that are so bad that they're actually dying to the thumper consistently. I'm not reverse boosting, I'm not exploiting whatsoever. I'm just basically nose to the grindstone trying to do challenges with things like the RPG, the Sigma, the thumper, and the knife. And as a result, my skill-based matchmaking ranking is going down so badly that I'm ostensibly reverse boosting, just trying to finish camo challenges on these terrible weapons. On one hand, you may think that this makes skill-based matchmaking a good thing, but I would say no, because back in the day, almost every lobby was like this by default. On average, you would have maybe one good player in your lobby, you'd have 2 or so average players, and the rest of them would be bad players. Lobbies would be a mixed bag of random people that join the lobby based on connection alone, and believe it or not, the average COD fan is not all that good, right? So back in the day, these challenges would have been much easier because I wouldn't have had to play and play and play and play with these horrible guns until finally the skill-based matchmaking gods decided to bless me with a few lobbies where people weren't using Flak Jacket. The system as a whole is so flawed, nobody likes it, and it doesn't actually benefit bad players in the way that Activision thinks it does, and here we are in a situation as a community where we have the ability to really make change with the system, but people are hiding that information, and Activision is helping them hide that information by changing up the API and setting our privacy settings to not share our stats with everybody by default. Before we wrap up the video here today, I would just like to say that I wouldn't exploit the system even if the information did come out. I am all for literally everybody and their mother doing it because it's going to really force Activision to either fix the exploits or remove skill-based matchmaking, but as a YouTuber, I don't want people to associate me with reverse boosting or cheating or anything like that, so I wouldn't do it personally, but everyone else would, and that would really help out the system as a whole. So I am all for this actually happening, man. I really am. But the problem is, there's people out there that have this information, and they're not revealing it to everybody, and Activision's helping them by changing their API and making it so our privacy settings do not show our stats by default, and now people have to manually go in there to opt in. People aren't going to do that. Like, average people aren't. YouTubers and streamers are going to be held accountable, so they're obviously going to do it. I'll do it. I'll put a link to my stats down in the description. They're not good. You know, Cold War is very sweaty, but then again, I'm also trying to, do thumper challenges for crying out loud and get dark matter, but man, it's a horrible situation we're in right now. Every day, it's something different with skill-based matchmaking, and as always, I'll be here with you guys every step of the way as we learn more and as this story develops. So for right now, I'm going to wrap things up. I would just really like to see the entire system as a whole begin to crumble beneath Activision's feet, and it's possible for that to happen. But right now, these YouTubers and these pro players and stuff that know how to do this stuff are not revealing it, possibly because they're on the end with Activision. Don't want to call out names, don't want to point fingers, but you guys know who I'm talking about pretty much here. That basically seems to be what's happening, and it's pretty damn scummy. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, I'm going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, consider leaving a like. Check out NordVPN, link down in the description. Thank you, NordVPN, so much for sponsoring me and my channel. You definitely help out, especially here in January, where YouTube ad revenue is so painfully bad. And yeah, NordVPN, top tier service. Use it myself, and I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised with how good it is and how cheap it is, especially when you use promo code NERCinema. But until the next video, I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you did, consider leaving a like. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.